record sales of over 120 million. 20 top 10 singles, 5 #1 albums, 5 #1 singles, 41 gold and platinum discs to their credit, Grammy Awards, and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They are the only American rock group ever to have charted top 40 albums in 5 consecutive decades. Chicago is here with a 36-year career that has made them one of the most popular, beloved rock bands in music history because of their truly great recordings. Does anybody really know what time it is? Beginnings, Make Me Smile, 25 or 6 to 4, Color My World, Saturday in the Park, Feeling Stronger Every Day, Just You and Me, I've Been Searching So Long, Wishing You Were Here, If You Leave Me Now, Hard to Say I'm Sorry, Hard Habit to Break, and You're My Inspiration are just a smattering of their classic compositions that has touched all of our lives. It all began back in 1967 under the name The Big Thing, before producer and manager James William Garcio took them under his watchful eye and changed their name to Chicago Transit Authority, which later became Chicago. They soon moved to Los Angeles and signed to Columbia Records, releasing their debut album in the spring of '69. That was followed by the Great Chicago 2 set in 1970, and then it was one terrific disc after another. In 1978, The Dark Cloud of Tragedy opened up over the ensemble when guitarist-vocalist Terry Kath was killed in a shooting accident, which devastated the other members and stunned their fans. However, Chicago persevered, and the outstanding music continued through the 80s and 90s, bringing this legendary unit into the 21st century. Rhino Entertainment has for their fans Chicago, The Box, a 5-CD, 100-song boxed set, truly a definitive collection, with 3 previously unreleased tracks along with a DVD that features the band in a 1972 concert performed in Chicago, Illinois, as well as a '79 promotional film. This past spring, the guys were in the studio recording 6 more holiday songs, which were not part of the previously issued holiday CD Chicago 25, so later this year you will find in stores a new version of Chicago 25 with the additional cuts. Also, the guys have taped a concert in Chicago for Soundstage, which you will hear on PBS, and here to talk about their 36 years of Chicago and what lies ahead, I am pleased to have back on this broadcast the members of Chicago, my friends, Jimmy Pankow, Walt Parazaider, Robert Lamb, and Lee Loughnane. Gentlemen, welcome and great to have you here again. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here. Boy, you read that well. Now I'm tired.
What an intro, right?
Oh,
and it could have
man.
gone on for
Wow.
reams and reams of pages. Let's start with the box set. How did this whole thing come into existence?
Well, I think with the purchase of the catalog, and previous to the box set, what they did was they released a 39-song double CD last year, which went platinum for us, and that was all remastered material, and it was called what? Only the Beginning.
Only the Beginning.
Only the Beginning. Only the Beginning. 35 years later, and then they re-released all of the 15 albums from 1 through 15, all of the Sony material, Columbia Sony. And while we were doing that, they said they had plans to put a box set together, and here we go. 5 CDs, 90-something songs, and a DVD.
Do you think that this is a prouder creative achievement than any other endeavor in the past?
Well, it certainly speaks to the issue of longevity and remaining creative and productive over all the years. But it's really hard for me personally to say what is, what's been the crowning achievement of the band, because it could easily have been everything from the very first album to the week that we played at Carnegie Hall to the fact that we're still around in the 21st century. So it's really hard to say.
Lee just mentions 36 years. So when you think about it, from 67 to 85, and then 86 to the present day. So with that in mind, how is it similar performing together, And how is it different?
It's a lot more comfortable now because it's not a case of needing a hit record to go out and fill seats at a gig. This music, it's music that doesn't want to go away. And these fans keep coming back and they keep wanting to feed on this. And it's a tribute to the music. We, of course, never would have thought for a moment that this music would have been ageless. And it's become a legend thing. You know, Chicago is by virtue of this timelessness able to work as long as we want to work, apparently. And we look out at a crowd and we see 3 and 4 generations. I mean, the old-time fans are still coming around, and now their kids and their grandkids are coming around. As Robert often says on stage, you know, for the audience members that are under 25, we'll be doing selections from our first album, Chicago 16. You know?
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that the
know.
other night. Good point.
And these kids, you know, they go home and they discover in this whole stack of vinyl, CTA, Chicago 2, 3, etc., and they put 2 and 2 together, they realize that their folks are listening to the same band.
Jimmy, how's it different?
There are different circumstances now than there were. We're not the flavor of the month, as it were, anymore. We're not playing stadiums and stuff like that we used to do, and you know, needing security to keep women from scaling buildings to get to us. I mean, those days
They
were...
can't get up the walls, no,
They
we gotta
can't,
help
yeah.
them up the walls.
Yeah. They put extra springs in their walkers.
That's right.
But you know, it's become more comfortable. We're a lot more of an oiled machine, as it were. We have
Finely tuned.
you know, finely tuned, and we have a veteran crew. We're more in control of the business, you know, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, you have your
of our
hands around
destiny.
it more. You have your hands
Yeah,
around it.
yeah.
Well,
Where
that
we used to be kept isolated from that, you know. Okay, you guys just worry about the music. Let us worry about the business. But you have to be aware of your destiny and your, you know, your business, because that's what it's your livelihood.
Walt, I don't want you to be
I think we're just getting good, to tell you the truth. We're just reaching a halfway point. I mean, my dad was a trumpet player in 2 bands till he was 86. He says, you can play as long as you want, you know, and you'll be learning the whole time. And I think we've reached a point, not that it's ever comfortable with either writing songs, performing on stage, and if it is, you're doing something that you're going to be going backwards instead of forwards. But we've learned so much and we know how to go forward, that it's exciting to realize that if you look back 10 years ago, that with this learning curve, this performing curve, writing music, recording music, the curve has been going up, and that's exciting. And it will, till we draw our last breath when we're 90 playing Chicago 100
Now,
in the studio.
I don't want you to be humble about this, but I want you to speak to your impact, your contribution to music. It would be what?
I think we've influenced a lot of, just the horn section ourselves. I think we've influenced a lot of players to play the instrument. And I didn't realize that for a long, long time until people actually started coming up and coming backstage and saying it to me. And you know, it's an honor to be part of that. You know, be a part of someone's life, the beginning of their career, and that's pretty neat.
So when you think of the timeline and where you place this band in musical history, it comes up where?
It really comes up in my mind, and Al Cooper would have to agree with this, as the first horn band, a rock and roll horn band with you know, a rock and roll rhythm section and horns, where everything is interwoven. The horns are interwoven. And you know, Al Cooper had the first Child is a Father to Man, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Right.
But he saw us performing at the Whiskey and flew to New York and put together Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So we weren't on vinyl first, but I'd have to say we were right at the forefront of doing something with horns that was more than what James Brown or Sam and David, not to denigrate that music, which was great, but it was a little more than just a bop, ba-da-da-da. You know, there was a meaningful writing going on that was an integral part of the rhythm section.
Well, also, Walt, in those bands, the horn sections are really, if you will, backup. Here,
Yeah,
the
well,
horns are up front, and as you say, it's on a level playing field with the rest of the members of the band?
Well, we took a melodic approach to the horn section rather than a harmonic approach. We do harmonic approaches as well, but the horn section has become another lead vocal. You know, it intertwines around what the vocals are doing. So it's a unique approach. However, we cut our teeth on Sam and Dave and the Temptations and Otis Redding.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what we did. We were, for lack of a better term, a white soul band, you know, and we did the steps and we did those tunes. And in fact, probably the first tune we ever did when we rehearsed in Walt's basement back in '67 was James Brown. You know, I mean, we did James Brown, and man, I heard this band for the first time myself, and I was going, man, this is the real McCoy.
The big thing. Compositionally speaking, Jimmy and Robert, I pose this to you. In the beginning of the intro, I ran down classic song after classic song after classic song. But when you sat down to write, did you feel that a couple of these songs were better than the norm, that this was going to be a hit? Did you get that sense with certain songs?
I feel about that every time I sit down, every time I write a song. I get really carried away with the excitement of, creating a new song from scratch. And, it's like your kids, you just fall in love with it, and, you can see it being a doctor, lawyer, president, whatever it wants to be.
You sense it from the creation.
Exactly. But after it's written and recorded, it's kind of out of your hands, and it becomes, it goes from being a piece of art to a piece of commerce, and then it's out of your hands entirely.
Any song that you wrote that you thought, nah, this just didn't feel right, but did become a hit and did make it hit-bound?
My songwriting has never been about consciousness of hit material. When I write, which is a constant process, it is for Robert, it is for most of us, inspiration is a fleeting thing. It can happen when you least expect it, and sometimes you don't have a way of writing it down, and that can be probably the ultimate frustration, is some of your best ideas are here and gone forever. So hopefully you're in a position of being able to write it down or run to a piano or whatever. But in terms of what a song becomes, for me, is a benchmark of what other people feel it is. I'm too close to this. I'm too personally involved in this. Basically, for me, it's therapy. It's a
Cathartic.
It's a cathartic experience, exactly.
And it's like what Robert has just touched upon.
Yes.
It's like one of your children.
Yes,
you
it
can't
is.
pick your favorite child.
It is, but this child doesn't become a person or a personality until the rest of the people in this band, I mean, this is the experience within the band, until they each add their own personal touch to this song.
Or you can look at it as if each one of them breathes life into the composition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, you say that well. I'm going to remember
Very
that.
profound. Rich.
That is.
Our next interview is going to be really good.
Yeah.